Now, the enforcers. Good morning, Sarge.
Hey, Afide, good morning. You know, I, if I may, I just, our thoughts and prayers and condolences to the families who have lost their loved ones to, the struggle and the battle with COVID. Just listening to Lillian Posadas is really uh, a grim reminder of what's out there and how we need to do our part in assuring the safety of the entire community. But just your individual part, it's really plays a role in the success and moving forward in recovery and some sort of normalcy. So again, thoughts and prayers to that. I was really I was a heavy heart listening to her interview. So
Right.
it's dire in
And
my opinion and stuff.
does that kind of remind you, Sarge, why you guys are out here enforcing the stay-at-home order and the governor's executive order during this heavy PCOR one?
We see the importance of the executive order. I know this is a bit drastic from the previous PCOR that was implemented in the beginning or the onset of COVID. If you trace it back to how the restrictions allowed people to, some sort of, utilizing the parks and the facilities, the government owned parks and beaches, for spiritual or, wellness, mental wellness, and of course exercising. And seeing the numbers and what we were in March to where we are now in August, late July, the move and the trigger in understanding in the PCOR and the measures with Executive Order 2027 and 28, it shows the need for the entire community and understanding that staying home is the only way in which we can actually properly mitigate and stop the spread. And we were, listening to the experts, not just, here on the island, but stateside. You're going to see that uptick, and the best way to do it is just pretty much stopping the movement of the carriers, which are the people and the community members. So, the importance of the executive order and our role with the Guam Police Department, it's critical. It's critical that people understand their respective roles in adhering to the executive order so that we can actually have a grasp and understand what needs to be done as a whole and as a community.
Sarge, how many tickets have you guys given out since Friday?
With the passage and everything, I believe with the introduction of Executive Order 2020-27, a task force was developed within the respective law enforcement agencies. So this comprises of various law enforcements with Department of Agriculture, the Parks and Recreation, Department of Parks and Recreation, the Guam International Airport Authority Police, and of course our police officers in addressing the parks and the beaches. So we've been out there since I want to say since the enactment of the Executive Order 27, and really educating the community and that's just pretty much the stay-at-home order. I know the powers of law enforcement. We do have discretionary powers. We can educate them. So more about the executive order, but educate them solely about their importance and their roles in they play with this pandemic. Is just staying home and stop refrain from utilizing the parks or gathering in the parks. So with law enforcement, every law enforcement authority, we have the discretionary authority in which we can actually counsel. And should an arrest or a citation warrant it, we'll move forward with that. But tracking the numbers, I think we've had I want to say over 100 some counseling that was performed by the various officers, to include our task force officers that are pretty much addressing the beaches and the parks. But again, should anything warrant for an arrest or a citation, the Guam Police Department will move forward, or any law enforcement agency that is part of the task force will move forward in issuing a citation or effectuating an arrest.
So it kind of sounds like you guys are doing more counseling, which is where you give them a good talking to.
It's really trying to grasp the normalcy and everything, and people, we want to give them the benefit that because everything's so fluid with COVID, the releases that come out, there's a lot of questions and concerns regarding the executive order and how it transitioned. So again, we can use our discretionary powers by counseling. Like I said, educating the community about their roles and adhering to the executive order and understanding the effectiveness that they play with mitigating the spread of COVID-19. But again, we have a task force that's dedicated to that. We want to thank the respective agency heads in allowing their personnel to assist with this endeavor and assuring that we stay in compliance with the governor's executive orders.
What about walking along, exercising on on Marine Corps Drive, just on the sidewalks, running, biking? Could we be subject to a citation?
Again, I mean, that's where we can exercise our discretionary powers and, counseling. If we see fit that a counseling is suffice and they understand that, there is some consequences that will follow after a counseling should they fail to adhere to the warnings or the counseling that's offered by the officer. And, so if a citation is deemed fit in violating of any of the executive order, we'll move forward with that. And again, we work closely with the Department of Public Health and Social Services and the Office of the Attorney General in assuring him what we are going to be enforcing or what we are carrying out.
I'm sorry, was that a yes?
With the executive order.
Was that a yes that you could issue me a citation if I am out there?
Yeah.
We haven't issued a citation yet.
But
so far.
you could, GPD could cite me.
Right.
Like, what would it be, like criminal trespass? If I'm
Yes.
exercising?
So
Now, I'm
when
not
you
talking
look
about
at
the parks and beaches. I'm talking about like running along Marine Corps Drive. Or for me, like fast walking.
within the within the roadways or the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Public roadway, public
Like
sidewalk.
Marine Corps Drive, could you cite me for walking and exercising under this
Again.
stay-at-home order?
Again, if it's in line of violation of the executive order, we work closely with, with the Office of the Attorney General. If a citation is warranted, then, by all means, we can, remember the levels of discretionary powers, that we have. I mean, we can counsel you and tell you and stuff. And if you fail to comply, then we can upgrade it to a citation.
So
and,
under the executive order, has the Guam Police Department been briefed that if I were to be exercising along Marine Corps Drive, running and or fast walking, I could be cited?
Again, we work closely with the AGs on this, and should we, the means or the act in itself is a violation of the executive order, then yes, you can be issued a citation. Again, we have to look at the full totality and understanding that, this executive order is a stay-at-home order. It's really, it's more really a public health issue, and we want to ensure that this is a public health emergency. The numbers don't lie, and it's really, Lillian's interview, she pretty much painted the reality and the picture of what's really happening out there. So again, we work closely with the AG's office, ensuring that what we are doing with the Guam Police Department in enforcement is in compliance with the executive order and of course any other laws that govern the land.
Sarge, was there like any citations issued over the weekend? Because I thought I saw something about a church that was cited for having services.
That one I don't know. I think that was forwarded to the Department of Public Health and Social Service. I think they covered it in their circular that they issued out with a public nuisance in compliance with the governor's executive order. So I think the Department of Public Health and Social Services were the agencies, the lead agency that is following up with that. I can reach out to the JIC to find out more information about what transpired with the Calvary Church. I know that was brought up in other chat groups, separate and apart from any government chat groups that I'm associated with.
What about this protest, Sarge? We're getting a lot of comments here. Will the police be going to the protest site to monitor if any of parts of the PCOR 1 executive order are being violated?
So, again, this is where we exercise the constitutional rights of everybody's First Amendment. We respect that, you know. Everybody has a right to freedom of speech and everybody has a right to freedom of expression. So, you know, we'll be out there monitoring and anything. And, you know, this is where we are going to work closely with the Office of the Attorney General, again, to ensure that we don't violate anybody's constitutional rights or any, you know, First Amendment rights that is granted to every U.S. citizen, every U.S. You know, individual that lives and calls Guam home. So we'll be out there monitoring, and of course, you know, it's really we ask the people, you know, that's planning this protest to please adhere to the seriousness as to why this executive order has been issued. You know, the numbers, it's only going to get higher before we can even put a grasp on what we need to do and how to really effectively mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
Can you tell us, we talk about the spread of COVID-19, what's the status of the positives within the Guam Police Department? Are they doing okay?
Sure.
Do we know how many we have? And
Sure. So altogether, the Guam Police Department has 9 total confirmed positive cases of COVID-19. Out of that 9, the first incident was reported in latter part of June. You know, that's great to say that that officer has recovered and is back at work. Within the duration of last week's releases that we've been giving out, we have a total of 8 officers that were confirmed tested positive for COVID-19, and we did mention that they are assigned to various specialized units within the Guam Police Department. So, you know, they are home in isolation, and you know, they're holding it down. You know, some elements that they're facing associated with the COVID. We don't know if any hospitalization is needed for any of the officers. So, you know, our prayers go out to them. But, you know, in the efforts to mitigate the spread, you know, that we've determined that majority of that, the case counts came from a cluster within a section within our specialized unit. All the officers that are assigned to there have been tested and in quarantine. You know, we're crossing our fingers that it comes back a second negative, or, you know, the test comes back all negative, and there's nothing that manifests, you know, any elements that should manifest during the quarantine period, which will allow them to come back to work. So far we're tracking the 8 active cases that we have, and that's, you know, coming from our specialized unit. The areas in which they are confined to their workspace have been cordoned off, and we are going to be working closely with the Guam National Guard in cleansing and you know, thorough cleansing within the area. Now, in perspective to our last exposure that we've had, and that was at the Tactical Operations Command, or our tactical, you know,
Communications.
Our TCC area, with the exposure of the 911 employee. We have moved our operation. We've transitioned our operation to the Delta Precinct Command. We are working closely with the Department of Public Health and Social Service to assure that the personnel, the GPD personnel that may have been exposed to the 911 dispatcher that tested positive, that they, you know, we work closely with them and their families. You know, we have them in quarantine. And again, they're going to be awaiting, we're going to be awaiting their tests, and should, you know, again, crossing our fingers that it comes back negative. We always want the best for each personnel, each GPD staff, each GPD officer, each civilian employee that, you know, pulls a critical function with the Guam Police Department operation. So that's where we are right now with our COVID issues that we're facing with the Guam Police Department.
Just real quickly, Paul, because we got to go over to our decision 2020. How many TCC officers were dispatched, are working dispatch and are over at the Delta Precinct Command, and how soon are they expected to return?
So every personnel that's assigned to our dispatchers have been relocated to the Delta Precinct Command. We're going to work closely with the Guam Fire Department. Once they give us the thumbs up that, you know, we're safe to come back into the E911 office, and we'll move forward and accordingly to, you know, really taking it slowly and coming back into the workspace. So once we get the clearance, we'll be able to transition back again with minimal to no interruption to the community and the services that's provided to our from our dispatchers.
And how many officers?
I'm sorry?
How many officers are assigned to TCC?
Those are civilian support employees from the Guam Police Department.
I see.
I don't have the numbers because they do shift operation. I do know that I can get the numbers, and I'll give you that information in the latter part today. More importantly, the officers that may have been exposed to that confirmed positive. So
Yeah.
again, I apologize, I don't have the numbers to that,
No worries.
but majority of the officers that are the personnel that are assigned there are our Guam Police Department civilian support staff.
All right. Thanks a lot, Paul. Sorry, we got to get into
Thank you,
our
Sarge.
Absolutely.
election interviews.
You guys stay safe.
Stay
and God
safe,
bless.
Paul.
Yeah, be safe. Okay, wash your hands.
Will do.
Thank you, Sergeant Paul Tapao. 9:19, we'll take a really quick break and come back to our KUAM News Decision 2020 candidate interviews next. It's the link on the breeze, 93.9. Good morning, Guam.
GU Self Storage, conveniently